Yo, it's your boy WesTheTech here to bring you another one of my personal favorite tech tips to help you as an artist grow in your craft. Now, today we're going to go over Spotify versus Apple Music. Which is better for independent artists, all right? So if you're a recording artist who's trying to figure out which platform you should focus on more between Spotify and Apple Music, then this is the perfect video for you, because in this video, I'm gonna go over all the differences between those two platforms so you could make a better choice as far as which platform you should focus on as an independent artist, all right? Now, before I continue, I definitely want to let you guys know about my free music business checklist tool that's available to download off of my website right now. This is for any one of you guys who's looking into starting your own music business, but don't quite know where to start. With this free tool, you'll actually be able to identify 3 things that you could do right away to start your own music business. So if you want to grab this free tool today, you can click on the link above. I'll also leave the link in the descriptions below, all right? Now, when it comes to choosing between Spotify and Apple Music as far as which platform you should focus on more as an independent artist, the answer isn't as simple as it may seem, because there are a lot of things that will benefit you more when it comes to Apple Music, and there's a lot of things that will benefit you more when it comes to Spotify. But which one is quote unquote more important to focus on as an independent artist? Well, the easiest way to answer that is just by telling you what's the best thing about Apple Music versus the best thing about Spotify, all right? So when it comes to Apple Music, there's one key thing that makes Apple Music better than Spotify. And that one key thing is actually how much you get paid in royalties, right? When it comes to Apple Music essentially pays you double the amount of royalties that Spotify will pay you. So what I mean by that is the same streams that'll get you $1 on Spotify will actually get you $2 on Apple Music. So with that being said, obviously, if you're just looking from a money standpoint, if you're just looking for a royalty standpoint, it would make more sense to focus on Apple Music because you're getting paid more per stream than Spotify. However, when it comes to being an independent artist, it's more than just about how much you're getting paid. It's also about some other key factors that are important as well. And those key factors are why I feel that Spotify, hands down, is more important to focus on than Apple Music. And I'm going to list those 3 things right now. The first and primary reason why I would take Spotify over Apple Music when it comes to focusing on as an independent artist, and that simply is the audience, right? Spotify itself has a much greater audience than Apple Music. It's not even close, right? Spotify has over 675 million subscribers. Apple Music, however, only have over 93 roughly speaking. That's not even close. Realistically, Spotify has 6 times the amount of users than Apple Music. So if you're just looking for an audience standpoint, you have way more people who are using Spotify than who are using Apple Music. And that actually makes sense because most people who use Apple Music are people who have Apple products. If you have an iPhone, you're probably using Apple Music. If you don't have an iPhone, then you're probably using Spotify or something else, right? That's the way it goes. And because Apple is very specific with their own products, right, you won't really see Apple Music outside of an Apple product like an iPad or an iPhone or something like that. So I believe that's a factor as to why Spotify has more users, but ultimately speaking, Spotify has been here much longer than Apple Music and any other music streaming platform. Spotify was really the first to solidify itself as an online streaming platform for music, right? Spotify was the first to come out before Apple Music, before Deezer, before Amazon, before all of those other ones. Spotify was the first, which is probably why it has so many more users than any other platform. It was the first to have it, and it's the biggest and the most popular still to date, right? You could get a computer right now and it'll have a Spotify app already on it. You could get a phone today and it may already have the Spotify app on it. You could buy a video game console today and it'll already have the Spotify app on it. That's how big Spotify is in comparison to any other music streaming platform. So when you're looking at the number of users it has, even though Apple Music may pay you more per stream, Spotify reaches more of an audience. So if I got 100 people listening over here on Spotify and 50 people listening over here on Apple Music, I'm making the same amount of money, right? But I'm reaching so much more people here, which means that 100 people can show another 100 people versus this 50 showing another 50. Because there's more people over here, you have a bigger audience and your music can grow faster here because more people are using it. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So when you're just looking at the audience alone, Spotify would take Apple Music when it comes to that. So that's one of the biggest key factors outside of the how much you get paid as an artist, that you really have to focus on Spotify over Apple Music. The next thing is the stats, all right? And what I mean by that is when you go to a Spotify profile, it shows you every artist's stats, meaning it shows you how many streams they have per song, right? It'll tell you they have 10K for this song, or 5,000 for this song, or 100,000 for this song, right? Apple Music doesn't do that. Apple Music, when you go to their profile, it just shows you the songs that they have, but it doesn't show you how much streams they are actually getting from each one of those songs. Now, obviously, if you're a beginning artist and you're not getting a lot of streams, Apple Music will look better because, you may only have 800 streams on a song. Apple Music doesn't show that, so obviously what people don't know won't hurt you, right? Versus Spotify, if you have a low number of streams, it's obvious that you have a low number of streams because you can see all the different play counts. So from just a visual perspective from the artist, you would think that Apple Music would make more sense to have than Spotify because of that factor. However, it is very, very important to show the stats, and very, very important for you to be transparent with how much streams you're getting with your music, because a lot of things are dictated based off of your Spotify stats. And what I mean by that is I have literally witnessed certain people get shows because of how much stats they have, because of their stream count on Spotify. I've seen certain artists get placed on stage versus other artists because they had more streams on their Spotify, right? It shows your stats. Think of it like a athlete, a football player or a basketball player, right? How do we judge what player is better than the other? 9 out of the 10 times we're judging it based off of their stats. Well, this player has this many points per game. This player has this many receiving yards per game. All of those different things is how you get judged as an athlete. When it comes to music, we get judged primarily before they see anything else. We get judged by our stream count, right? I've had big radio stations and agencies reach out to me before and ask me for my Spotify just to see how my audience, just to see how many people are listening to my music, just to see how much followers I have on Spotify. And then from there, that's where they're making their judgment on whether they want to collaborate with me or not, right? This is why Spotify is important. Apple Music doesn't do all that. And a lot of those places, they're not going to ask you for your Apple Music because Apple Music doesn't show those things, but Spotify does. Which is why Spotify would be more important to you as an independent artist, because that's the only way that you'll actually be able to prove to people that you have an actual music following, right? Spotify is the only way to actually do that effectively, and that's what they're gonna ask for. Now, I know that could be scary, especially if you don't have a lot of streams yet and things like that, but to me, I just feel like that would be motivation to push harder with your music, to get more people to subscribe to your Spotify, to get more people to like your music and listen to your music on Spotify. This is why if you have your music on a bunch of different platforms, you can have it on a bunch of platforms, but focus on Spotify because those numbers matter the most to you as an independent artist, all right? I hope that makes sense, but that's the second reason. The first reason is because Spotify has a bigger audience. The second reason is because you need to be able to show your stats, and people are gonna judge you off of your Spotify stats. It's just the nature of the business. Big companies, labels, all of that stuff, they judge you off of your Spotify stats. It's a real thing, all right? Now, the final reason why Spotify is more important to independent artists in general is because of the placements. And what I mean by that is it is so much easier to get on a Spotify playlist than an Apple Music playlist. It's so much easier. Why? Because Spotify makes it very, very easy for individuals to create playlists, right? And because Spotify has been here so long, they have so much more people using it. Obviously, they have more accounts, right? But they have much older playlists that have a lot more listeners and so on and so forth, right? Apple Music, people can create playlists as well, but they don't have to share their playlists, right? And their playlists aren't as global yet as Spotify, so to speak, right? You could, for whatever type of genre of music you personally are making, you could find at minimum 20 to 100 different playlists that caters to the type of music that you make. Spotify gives you the capability of getting your music on those playlists because there's just so many playlists out there to fit every single genre. Apple Music hasn't got that far yet. They're not that far along yet. They don't have that much playlists. And the best playlists that they have are from Apple Music directly, right? Spotify has their own Spotify playlists as well, but you could get really successful with your music on other people's playlists, right? And that's why Spotify is also more key and a lot better when it comes to which one you're going to focus on as an artist. Those Spotify playlists can truly make your or break your career. As a matter of fact, I put together a very helpful tool for artists. For those of you who don't know about it, it's 8 different websites that'll actually help you find Spotify curators. And what that means, what a curator is essentially the person who owns the playlist, right? And with these different websites, you could actually search the type of playlists that are available. You can find playlists that match the music you make, and you can submit your music to those playlists to the curators, and the curators can tell you, hey, we approve your song to go on our playlist, or we decline your song to go on your playlist. There's 8 different websites that you can do that for free, right? And I created a tool for you guys to be able to check that out. So if you haven't checked that out yet, click on the link above. I'll also leave the link in the descriptions below for that. It's on my website. It's a free ebook. Just grab it. It's a free tool for you guys to be able to get your songs placed on Spotify playlists easier and for free, right? That's a perfect example of why I brought up the placements. I don't have any tools like that for Apple Music. I don't know any Apple Music curators like that versus Spotify. I could think of 10 Spotify curators off the top of my head. I can't do that with Apple Music. It's not that big enough yet. It's not that, it hasn't reached those heights when it comes to how many people are actually using it and how many playlists there are. But it makes sense. You're talking about an audience of almost 700 versus an audience that's less than 100 million. You get what I'm saying? So that's another big factor. But those factors in all are the reason that I feel that every independent artist needs to focus on Spotify over everything else, over Apple Music, over any other one. You need to focus on your Spotify. Get your Spotify stream counts up. Get on these playlists and all of those things. Even though Apple Music will pay you double in the royalties, what's the point of getting paid double if you have less than half of the same amount of people listening to the music? You get what I'm saying? Spotify, most people have it. Most people will listen to it. If you send a Spotify link, they'll be able to listen. Apple Music, if you send somebody an Apple Music link and they have an Android phone, they cannot hear the song. It will not work. And Spotify doesn't have that problem. You can send the link, even if they have Spotify downloaded or not, it'll go to the Spotify website and play the song. You get what I'm saying? So there's levels to this. Apple Music isn't there yet. Spotify is. Spotify is king when it comes to this, and I think it will be for a very long time as it continues to be. So you as an independent artist, you just have to make sure that you're focusing on Spotify. Allocate your time, your resources into growing your Spotify. It's only going to benefit you. Get those stream counts up, like I said before. Get people to start following your Spotify profile. Make sure they're following it. You could create your own playlist to get people to listen to to music that's associated with your music. All of these things are great, but ultimately, dive into Spotify. Dive into Spotify and make sure it's your focus. There's no competition when it comes to that. Spotify is far more important, all right? But that's pretty much it, guys. That's what this video is about. I had to do it because I know a lot of you guys have asked me that question before, like which one should I focus on, and this, that, and the third. If you're just thinking about the money, Apple Music is the way to go, but that's the wrong way of thinking in general when it comes to this music game. It's not about the money, it's about the longevity and the consistency, and that's what you will get with Spotify. It's just a better platform ultimately. All right, guys, so make sure you guys are working on the Spotify. But before I let you guys go, I definitely want to let you guys know about my book here, The 13 Steps to Jumpstart Your Music Business. Right, this is for any one of you guys who's just simply tired of working a 9-to-5 job and you want to do music full-time like myself. I've been doing music full-time for almost a decade now, and the reason I was able to do it was because of these 13 steps that I followed in this book, all right? So if you want to put yourself in a position to leave that 9-to-5 job so that you can do music full-time like myself, you need to grab this. It comes in ebook form where you can start reading it tonight or today. And I have a hard copy version as well if you want to actually have something physical to read. Either way, it's a great read. It's 13 steps that will jumpstart your music business and get you started on the right steps to make sure that you're in the right position to leave that 9-to-5 someday and do music full time. So make sure you grab that. Of course, the link will be in the descriptions in regards to that as well. All right, guys, but that's pretty much it. Thank you all for tuning in. And of course, if you guys have any questions or anything in regards to anything music related, right, just leave the comments in the comment section below. I'm here to help you guys out as independent artists. All right, but that's pretty much it, guys. I hope this video helped you guys understand why Spotify is more important than Apple Music and any other streaming platform. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
I'm feeling like David. Can't nobody slay me. I feel like Moses. Big Moses. Can't nobody hold me. I'm feeling like Daniel. Big Daddy. Can't nobody face me.